Okay, at this time, we'll call to order the Lower Miami Board of Education regular meeting for September 20th. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Grice?
Here.
Mr. Cremines?
Here.
Mr. Nemish? Here. Ms. Jernay?
Here.
Mr. Haas?
Here.
Thank
You all could stand and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we sit down, I'm sorry, go ahead, Gary.
Just for a moment, we'd like to ask for a moment of silence in honor of Tracy Fletcher. She was a longtime BAC member who tragically lost her life a little over a week ago. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move.
Mr. Cremines,
I'll second.
Ms. Grice. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cremines?
Yes.
Mr. Nemish?
Yes.
Ms. Jernay?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Grice?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I need a motion for the reading of the minutes of August 16th, regular meeting. Ms. Jernay? Mr. Nemish? Roll call, please.
Mr. Nemish?
Yes.
Ms. Jernay?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Grice?
Yes.
Mr. Cremines?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, communications and/or visitors to the board.
Thank you. First, I'd like to take a moment to welcome our student Board of Education rep. Leanne Nugent is a senior here at Little Miami High School. And just a few things about this really talented young lady. She scored a perfect ACT score. We're going to embarrass you right now. She's also, this week we just learned she's also a National Merit semifinalist. She's also received the honor of having won the Honda Mathematics medal for Little Miami. And we'd like to welcome you, and they do have you sitting down here by me because they never know what I'm going to say. You're in charge of controlling that. So, well,
Yes, thank you very much.
next, Melinda is going to assist in an Eagle Scout presentation. We have some guests and some recognition to do.
Thank you. Great. My name is Melinda Briggs. I'm the Communication Director here at Little Miami Schools. And a couple weeks ago, I wrote a news article for our website about three, I think, pretty special young men who are working toward their Eagle Scout Award. And in doing so, their Eagle projects have either benefited the school directly or our local community. And I really wanted to bring them before the board so you all could meet them and hear a little bit about what they're doing, because I think it's pretty special. And the Eagle Award itself is pretty remarkable. Out of all of the scouts that start out, only 4% ever reach the Eagle Scout Award. And in doing some research about Eagle Scouts, I found out that Mike Rowe, who used to be on TV's Dirty Jobs, is an Eagle Scout, and he said about the Eagle Scout Award that it's not for somebody who has to be drug across the finish line. These people are self-starters and very interested in improving their communities and the area around them. So I'm going to bring down Michael Kilgore, Joseph Swisher, and Zach Blow, and I'm going to have them talk to you a little bit about their projects. Now, I had prepared a PowerPoint presentation, but I just learned before the meeting that the screen is not functioning properly. So they all have exhibits because they're scouts and they're prepared. So they are ready to tell you about their project. And Michael is going to go first.
I'm a senior here at the high school. For those of you who don't know about my project, I built a pergola at Teshman Park between the 4 new baseball fields in the back. Well, my inspiration to do this was about 2 years ago. We lost a very important member of our community, Brayden Thornberry. He was very special to us, and he was a football player and a teammate of mine, and we all looked up to him. He was a very great person to look up to. And back in the early stages of my project, I decided that I wanted to dedicate it to him. So when we started working, we worked with Hamilton Township and Warren County Building Department, and we did it with Little Miami Baseball. And I met with Ken Floss, who's the president of the Little Miami Baseball Association, and he loved my idea, so we started work there. And a few months later, and over 260 hours of work on my project, we finished a pergola out there, and we dedicated it to Brayden Thornberry with his life verse, Jeremiah 1:9, on a bronze plaque, and a poem written during World War I, lamenting the loss of many young lives that we thought was very appropriate. And that's about it.
My name is Zach Blow. I'm actually a sophomore at Little Miami High School currently. Sorry there are not very many pictures. I did not know that to put on the PowerPoint not working. I actually started work. I actually did a 4x8 by 7 foot shed. Also did a gravel pathway that ran along the side of the shed and along the side of the garden for Miss Gasper, so that the students of Little Miami Intermediate School could then use that shed and the gravel pathway then to easily transport their vehicles or whatever they might have, their tools to try and get to the garden, so that they could then get the fresh food out to the students of Little Miami Intermediate School. The reason I started doing this project was because as a young boy, I was always into gardening and trying to help out others with gardening or anything like that. So when Miss Gasper came up to my dad with the idea of needing this shed built for their gardening tools, because they had been kept in the school itself, and the janitors weren't really liking that because they'd always have to clean up the mud streaks from Miss Gasper over the summer. So with doing this then, took me about a year with all the planning and then the prep work along with the actual work itself. I was a little bit surprised personally at the amount of volunteers I was able to get. It was a lot of help to be able to come out about 2 hours each day sometimes and just be able to work in that, especially with the winds that we got over spring break. And then with doing this, I really would like to just thank Ms. Gasper, because she was really a really good help with my cause, with trying to help out my Eagle project. And then the Little Miami Intermediate School PTO, they were able to donate $200 to get me started on the on my Eagle project. So I'd just like to thank them for all their hard contributions.
Hi, I'm Joseph Swisher. I'm currently a junior at Little Miami High School, and I'm also from Michael's Troop 81. And after I'm done presenting, I have some pictures that I'd like to pass around. That I'm going to be needing to use them just for reference points right now. But initially, December of 2015 last year, I was looking for a project to do, and I really wanted to help out the community, specifically the Little Miami community, and I went to Mrs. Gasper to see if she had any project ideas for any Eagle Scouts that were willing to help her out. And I had previously talked with her earlier because I had my troop actually helped make beginnings of this garden that you see at Little Miami Intermediate, and we helped with like basically putting the garden beds in and just the very early work of it. And so we already knew, our troop already knew who Mrs. Gasper was, and so we initially had we had like what should I say, like we knew of each other as a troop, and so it was that initially that started, got me started on thinking about what to do with my project. And afterwards, I finally came up with the idea of helping a woman in the media when she mentioned that the garden that already existed was kind of in full repair because there was various problems, such as there was a tremendous amount of weeds that was in the garden bed area, and that was what started the project, my idea for the project. And then she mentioned that there was also some things in the exterior part of the garden, such as the exterior planting bed that she said would need to be improved upon. And with her help and guidance, I was able to develop a plan around trying to improve upon this. And also with the help of my fellow scouts and my troop, I was able to get this project done before the summer ended, because that was a very big concern of mine, that I wouldn't have enough time to complete this. And I really owe thanks to my troop for helping me, because I couldn't have gotten this done without them. But the project itself that what my improvements that I made was, I first de-weeded everything, all the weeds inside the fenced-in part of the garden by hand, because Mrs. Gasper said that it would be better to hand pick them out rather than using any type of harmful chemical substance. So thanks to me and 4 other scouts, we were able to get all those weeds out and successfully lay another layer of gravel on top of that to try to prevent any future weeds from coming up. And then afterwards, we redefined the exterior part of the garden by excavating out a bigger part of the exterior planting bed, in which we filled that with mulch and more perennials to fill that space. And then after all of that work, we placed a giant border around this, a brick paver border, which Mrs. Gasper, in the early parts of the project, she had expressed to me that there would be a need for a brick paver border so that to create a lawn mowing strip so the lawnmower wouldn't eat up any of the plants inside the garden. So that was the I guess you could say the first idea that I had project. And then after we completed that, finally, we built two benches that were made out of this recycled material that would not be harmful to the kids in hot or really cold days. And the colors would not fade. So these benches, which you'll see in this packet that I'll hand around in a minute or so, they were a very big part of this project, and they were basically the final part of this project. And after that, I'd like to thank the school board for approving my project, and also Mr. Carr for approving my project. I'd also like to thank the PTO for the donation of $200 towards buying materials for my project, because that really helped out in the long run. It was a lot of money to provide the tools for and materials. So thank you. And then lastly, I'd like to thank Mrs. Gasper for her vision and guidance throughout the whole project, for helping me figure out what to do for the whole project, because I really couldn't have done it without her and the people that helped me out in the project. So thank you.
You've heard them mention Mrs. Gasper a couple of different times, and I believe she is here with us this evening. Did you want to say anything? I'd just like to say a few words. These guys are awesome. I'm a huge advocate of the Scouts. I was in the Scouts all the way up through high school as well. And what they've done for our garden, it was in a little bit of a shambles, but it is rocking now. And we can utilize it through the classrooms. We have outdoor classroom setting. I can take students out there and sit on the benches and help them with any issues or anything that they're dealing with in a beautiful setting. The vegetables are great. We are helping Jesse Landick, our custodian, that I'm not tracking in so much because I'm not using his closets for my storage of tools, because I have a wonderful shed out there. So they've just been amazing. I've known Joseph and Zach's family for a long time. I knew Zach's parents before he was even born. Joseph, I had the opportunity to work with his sisters at the high school. So this has been great. I have future ideas for the garden, so Scouts out there, I have plenty of other projects. Give me a call. Thanks so much. They are great. Appreciation. I have a couple of certificates for them and a little Miami thing. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you, John. Okay, next, we've had a pretty busy month working with Christy from Immersion and Troy from Fanning County on our the very beginnings of our facility master planning, and they're here tonight to give us all an update on where we are.
I'll try and keep it brief. What I wanted to talk about tonight was really mostly schedule. We don't have anything crazy to divulge yet because we're still in the process of collecting data and evaluating. But just so you know that what we've been doing and what we plan on doing, for the past, this week and last week, we've been working through our educational assessments of all of your buildings. And so Troy's going to go into a little bit more detail about what the educational assessments comprise of. But so far, we've been through all of your buildings except one. Tomorrow, we're going to wrap up our educational assessments at Harlan-Butlerville Elementary. So that's been a really exciting time the last 2 weeks. We kick off each day sitting down with their principals and their building leadership team, and we start to dream and vision a little bit. We talk about some of the current issues that are occurring in your buildings. So that takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then Troy and I spend the rest of the day, or part of the day, literally walking space by space and seeing how the building's being used in terms of delivering curriculum. After this week, then we're going to spend the next 2 weeks doing our physical building assessments. So that's kind of looking through a different lens. So we're going to be walking your buildings then for the next 2 weeks, literally looking at the condition of your facilities. So it's not necessarily how you're delivering curriculum, but how are your building systems working for you. So that's going to take the next 2 weeks. Then we're going to spend a little bit of time compiling the data from those 2 assessments, because we need to merge kind of those 2 assessments, and then we'll be ready to present our findings. So we're going to spend about a week and a half compiling the data from our assessments, and then we're going to present our findings to the planning team, and then start to have some community meetings, which are going to be really exciting. We're going to start by having a community meeting with Morrow to talk about Morrow Elementary. Right now, that's scheduled for October 20th, so mark your calendars for that.
All of these meetings will be here in the auditorium.
Yep, all the meetings will be here. And then after that Morrow community meeting, we're going to have a whole district community meeting. So some of those same community folks from Morrow hopefully will be at the all-community session, where we're going to talk about the data that we've collected from the educational and facility assessments, and we're going to ask your community some questions. And we're going to kind of take note of what their thoughts and feelings are with regards to the future of the district. Then the design team is going to go back kind of and start to design options for a couple of weeks based on the information from our assessments and based on the information that we get from that community meeting. We're going to come back to the planning team with some of those options, and we're going to present those options to your community at a second community meeting. That second community, the first community meeting is November 1st here. Then the second community meeting is December 6th. Okay. And then,
December 6th?
yes, and then we quickly have to, based on that second community meeting where we're going to present the options that we're looking at for the master plan and get feedback in that community meeting, we will narrow down on an option to allow us to be able to present a final budget for at that following board meeting in December. So that's kind of big picture. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen in between the meetings, but that's kind of big picture of where we are with schedule. And now that I know how awesome your scouts are, we can fold them into some of our projects. And by the way, we were at the intermediate school yesterday, right, yesterday? Today, it's been a busy 2 weeks. Saw the garden, it's awesome, guys, it really is. And in my mind, it's stuff like that that really shows the heart of a school, the culture of a school, and sets your buildings apart. So great job, guys. So Troy, if you want to talk a little bit about the actual education.
Hold on before you go to
Oh,
the
yeah.
next question.
Are these meeting dates in stone right now?
I think so. Greg and I sat down and looked at,
We had a 2-hour meeting today where we were looking at what was open in the facilities for night meetings. So when we sat and looked at the calendar and the timing,
Well, one of them might have a person board meeting. Okay.
okay, well, we can talk further after that. That was Greg and I sitting down this afternoon and kind of looking at availability, and of course we start getting into plays and Christmas performances, and things start getting pretty hectic. So
And that's the Morrow.
the Morrow one is on October 20th.
It's 7 o'clock.
Yes, we're anticipating 7 to
Here.
9-ish here.
And we anticipate doing a district-wide mailing, publicizing these meeting dates and engaging and getting the word out to all the local government entities as well as all of our stakeholder groups, our boosters, our PTOs, because we do want a high degree of participation from the community.
And the next one is on November the 1st.
November 1st will be
The first
all,
community.
yes, will be the first all-community meeting.
And then December 6th
Will
is
be
the
a
second community.
second all-community meeting as a follow-up to that first.
And the third thing that you said that jumped out at me, and I want to just verify, you said final budget would be presented.
Yeah, so so that second community meeting is gonna help solidify a preferred option that we will be able to set a budget to allow you to pass a resolution if you wanna go after a May bond levy. That December 13th meeting needs to be when that resolution happens.
And
Community meetings will be about everything or just the building and Morrow?
Oh, no, it'll be about everything. Well, we're just having that initial meeting
Okay.
with Mara to talk about that specific building.
All right, go.
The community meetings are about our whole district
Okay.
conversations.
Okay. And then the final budget you said would be the school board meeting for December.
December
the 13th.
Right, I mean, you had said you have for the, so it'll be the following week from the second community meeting. And then you were thinking a resolution, I think when we very first retained you guys, I had mentioned that there were concerns on the board as far as schedule.
Mhm.
And that I don't know that we would be as eager to move as quickly as some. So we do understand that. I'll make sure I reiterate that.
Right. And we'll evaluate that as we go. I just want to be as.
I understand that. To have the option open to you for consideration, you need to know a dollar figure in order, if the board would want to pass that first resolution for the May ballot of May 17, that.
We're just seeing the numbers. And, I mean, I can't speak for the other members here, but I'm just looking at the numbers the week before. I'm not going to be real eager to pass a resolution the following week.
Correct. Correct.
I can't.
And we will have numbers associated with options that you will see before then. That second community meeting is really to solidify which of the options you will have seen those numbers in advance of that community meeting.
Okay.
To give yourself some time to digest that and to be able to look at the pros and cons.
Okay.
I just don't want to be the reason why you
No.
can't. I want to make sure that I'm not the reason why you can't do it if you want to.
And I just want you to know that we're not real eager to move as quickly as possible. We want to really look at it. We want to really look at it closely because.
Understood.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Right, good evening, I'm Troy Glover, educational planner at Fanning Howey. And as I stated during the interview, that my role in this process is really to focus on education. I hold firm to believe that education drives facilities and not the reverse. So the first role that I have in this process is to do educational evaluation of schools. And that's not evaluating the educational program, but looking at what the educational program is and seeing if the building supports that. And if it doesn't, where are those shortfalls? And what things need to be done or might be done to align the building, make the building more suitable to support the educational program of the school. So we've gone to every school but one, and we'll do that one in the morning. The process is as follows. We first go to the school, we have a conversation with a team representing the school. It's a combination of a variety of individuals that are part of that school community. And we start the conversation off by getting an understanding of what they're doing academically and how the building supports what they're trying to do academically. And if they can't do something because of space, we want to know that as well. And we don't stop the conversation there, but we progress it and say, where do you see the educational program in your school going? And what might be the needs to support that in the future? So they have been doing a great job of providing us with very useful information that's going to be very informative as we get to the process of developing options and looking at, what the scenarios might be. We also have a pretty extensive form because we've done this all across the country. So we bring some of those experiences here to Little Miami. We made some adjustments in our form to be appropriate for here. And we evaluate the building, the spaces in the building. We look at the classrooms and the special ed spaces, and the special spaces, and see how they match up to what we've seen across the country. That information is being worked on. Excuse me, I have a little bug. I'm picking up a cold here. But we're taking that information, we'll start to digest it, and we'll share that with you at some point in the future of what our findings are and how the buildings align up with what we're looking at educationally. Christy talked about these upcoming meetings. The first community meeting, the district-wide, is really to provide information. And we'll share the findings of the facility condition assessment, of the educational adequacy evaluation, and also to get the attendees' participation, we'll ask us some questions. And those questions will really be designed to help inform us as we begin to frame or to draft out what options might be. The second community meeting would be to come back to the community and based on some of the input that they're provided and a whole myriad of information that we have evaluated and collected, and provide some logic for how the options were developed and get the community's input on those options. And all of that will lead into development of what you've charged us with, is developing the facility master plan that we'll present to you for your consideration. So that's where we are in the process. There's a lot of work to be done. I know we've gone through it quickly, but there's a ton of details that we haven't mentioned that are part of this process, so we can deliver a thoughtful and informed document to you for your consideration. Thank you for allowing us to come in and share with you tonight.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Yes.
Thank you, Christy and Troy.